Morality with Motamedi has been gone for a while, but it is coming back in 2016. You may not even have heard of this clip. It's one where Lewis addresses moral and ethical dilemmas submitted by the audience. And we are now going to look back at a classic Morality with Motamedi episode where Lewis was to decide whether he would prefer to go blind or be castrated in order to save millions of people. We are accepting audience graphic submissions for Morality with Motamedi, similar to Hatred Mail. They'll pop up on the screen behind me during the segment. The only requirement is that the graphics be 1920 by 1080. Send them in, and Morality with Motamedi will be back in 2016. In the meantime, though, let's review this classic episode of Morality with Motamedi. We've been getting complaints recently about some of our Morality with Motamedi segments that too many of the scenarios don't put Lewis at risk. In other words, Lewis has a choice between... In other words, Lewis is given scenarios where all of the repercussions only affect other people. In many cases, they don't affect Lewis. So we've been getting a number of requests to take this up a notch and actually see what is Lewis willing to sacrifice himself. And I think it's a fair point, Lewis, because it is very different to have to address what you might endure for the benefit of others as opposed to just choices that really have no repercussions for you. Do you agree that that's accurate?
Yeah, I guess so.
So the question is, how am I going to put this in a way that won't offend Lewis? Would you be willing to accept blindness or maybe castration to save 2 lives? To save 100 lives? 1,000 lives? I mean, tell us, Lewis, where do you stand on this? In other words, if I were to say to you, here's the thing. You have the choice of you go blind or 5 people are killed. What do you do?
I'd say I'm sorry to those 5 people.
Okay, 50 people. Lewis, you are castrated in a very, not extraordinarily painful way, but let's just say it certainly wouldn't be pleasant. You're castrated or 50 people are killed. What do you do?
Sorry, 50 people.
So how far would this go? I mean, 1,000 people? 1,000,000 people? If you could save 1,000 lives by accepting castration, you still wouldn't do it. The greater good, Lewis?
Well, that could be argued. Only to save my own life, probably.
Only to save your own life, you would accept castration. So if there's 1,000,000 lives on the line, and it's Lewis gets castrated, or you go blind for the rest of your life, or 1,000,000 people die, you still say no thanks.
Right.
Wow.
What
Wow,
about you?
Lewis.
What about you?
Oh, I of course I do it.
Would you?
Yeah, no, this is bad. I feel like we're going to get a lot of hate mail. There's going to be smear campaigns against Louis Motamedi related to this.
We'll see. I mean, I could be joking.
Producer Louis Motamedi would let 1,000,000 children die a painful death before he accepts blindness for the 60 years he has left to live. Is this the guy you want producing the radio show you listen to? This is bad, Louis.
Is it?
1,000,000 people you allowed to die just because you don't want to be castrated or go blind. What about deaf? Would you go deaf? Or maybe have a hand chopped off?
Nope.
You wouldn't do any of this. A fingernail painfully removed to save 1,000,000 people, Louis?
Fingernail, no problem.
That's as far as you're willing to go. I'm shocked, ladies and gentlemen. As far as Lewis is willing to go to save 1,000,000 people is to have a fingernail removed. What about a toe? Would you have a toe chopped off? You wouldn't die. It would be amputated surgically, clean environment. Toe chopped off to save 1,000,000 people.
As long as it's not one of my big toes. Yeah.
It is. Let's say it is.
Nope. Got to keep the big toe.
I am really shocked, Lewis. It's a disturbing display, I have to say.
Well, who knows? Perhaps if put in this actual situation, I might change my mind.
I'm disappointed.